What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and here's kind of some late breaking news. An absolute insane development from Facebook and their collaboration or corroboration with the United States government and monitoring the speech of users on their platform, even going so far as to having Joe Biden administration flagging, quote, problematic posts and then putting pressure on Facebook to increase fact-checking efforts. This is authoritarian, and it is insane to think how people are just so lulled, so afraid that they just let this happen. This is one of the big reasons, by the way, you should be using a VPN when you browse the internet. You should keep your data and your browsing habits anonymous and try to remain as anonymous as you can online. One of the best ways to do that is using a VPN. I use private internet access. I have a special discount code good for the rest of this month in the link in the description below. After this video, get yourself a VPN. It'll take like 2 seconds to set up, and enjoy regional lock content, anonymity online, and a whole host of other things. So don't wait on that. Here's the article via the Post Millennial and Libby Emmons writing. Biden administration flagging problematic posts, putting pressure on big tech to increase, quote, fact checking. Now, this is extraordinarily concerning given just how wrong our government was on several issues, health related. Now, I understand that new information comes in over time, and what you thought was the best thing at one point is no longer the best thing. The situation early on with lockdowns was very fluid, and people didn't really know what was going on. It was always developing. The problem is thousands of people were banned for saying some of the things that our government is now saying to be the truth. There are things that have changed over time, and those people haven't been unbanned. In response to this, a lot of people are pointing out, here's Greg Price putting out, the White House saying they will be flagging posts on Facebook that they find, quote, problematic is one of the most disturbing things I've heard online since starting politics. It officially beats out the previous champion, which was Chuck Schumer saying in 2017 that the intelligence communities has 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you. Here's Greg Greenwald, excellent follow on YouTube too, journalist saying, the Biden administration is telling Facebook which posts it regards as, quote, problematic so that Facebook can remove them. This is the union of corporate power and state power, one of the classic hallmarks of fascism. That the people who spent 5 years babbling about fascism support. If you don't find this deeply disturbing, that the White House is flagging internet content that they deem, quote, problematic to their Facebook allies for removal, then you need definitionally an authoritarian. No other information is needed about you to know that. There is no circumstance, none, in which it's acceptable for the White House or any other agency of the government to be providing lists to Facebook of, quote, problematic content it wants removed. Yet that's exactly what Psaki is saying they're doing. You have this post right here from the Daily Caller in the clip where she says that. Some of the replies. Here's Elijah Schaefer saying, the regime is officially admitting to censoring counter narratives. Wow, WTF. You see Crab Crawler in here. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread misinformation. I'm a private company. Excuse no longer applies. They're literally acting on behalf of the state to silence people. Here's a lawyer, Viva Frey or Freya. I don't want to sorry, dude, if I mispronounce your name. I follow you on Twitter, though. Good takes usually. Flagging for Facebook, not flagging on Facebook. There's a very big difference between these two statements. It seems that Jen has admitted to active government control over content on Facebook. Private company, Kyle Becker, I have an objection. It's called the U.S. Constitution. These people are violating their oaths of office. I mean, it's insane to me that this is just normal, that people are willing to give this amount of control up because they're covering it in, medical misinformation. But that's not where it's going to stop. A reporter questioned Psaki, expanded a bit more. Quote, the request for tech companies to be more aggressive as regards to misinformation. Have they been in touch with any of the companies, and are there any actions that the federal government can take to ensure their cooperation? Because we've seen from the start that there's a lot of action on some of these platforms. There's not a lot of action. Sure, well, first, we are in regular touch with social media platforms, and those engagements typically happen through members of our senior staff, but also members of our COOF team. Given Dr. Murthy conveyed, this is a big issue of misinformation, specifically on the lockdowns issue, the current issue we're facing. In terms of actions that we've taken or taking in terms of the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts who are popular within the audience with accurate information and boost trusted content. That's insane. Now, I do agree that medical misinformation is a problem. I've spoken out against it here on YouTube with a lot of these homeopathic panacea cure-all things where people are drinking, bleach and, I think that's Miracle MMS, I think that stuff's called, or this black salve, or all these kind of things that, exist here on YouTube and are problems. There are also all sorts of misinformation that's not necessarily harmful. Or there's information that is questionable, magnet therapy, or all sorts of stuff like that, that maybe you're wondering, people are drinking magnetized water. Is that a thing? Well, it's actually, yes, it is a thing. I don't know if it's good or bad for people, but there are varying degrees of this type of stuff. And I don't necessarily care that maybe some of these posts are flagged. When you talk about, though, the government working hand in hand with private companies to decide what speech is allowed, you're getting into very dangerous waters. You see via the New York Post saying, Psaki disclosed that the government's role in policing social media during her daily press briefing to demand for censorship and Psaki's admission of government involvement follows a series of flip-flops from health officials who contradicted themselves throughout the lockdowns on issues such as mask efficacy, as well as censorship of claims that later gained credibility, such as obviously leak theories. Now, we don't know that for a fact, but we do know that people were banned early on for suggesting that this may have been a possibility. She added, we've increased disinformation research, right? We've added. Now, Psaki and Murthy would not answer a shouted question about the fact that, Dr. Fauci's, President Biden's chief medical advisor and the government's top infectious disease expert, has himself vacillated on COOF information. Now, again, I will give people the benefit of the doubt. There's vacillation, and then there's getting more information and changing your mind, okay? I think that you have to allow for some of that. But where I have a problem is when people are getting banned for the same vacillations, so to speak. Fauci did not promote mask wearing in February, March, and early April as the respiratory stuff spread, and despite the historical use of them to counter, but he later pushed for them. Again, we know that there's been, minds changed, but former President Donald Trump has filed lawsuits, though, against Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, arguing that they are illegally squelching free speech rights on behalf of the government. These companies have become co-opted, coerced, and weaponized by government actors to become the enforcers of illegal, unconstitutional censorship, Trump said. Trump lawyer John Cole said the suits would prove that tech companies are government actors and that, therefore, the First Amendment does apply to their actions. Well, wouldn't you know it? It would seem that this would provide yet another example that they are acting on behalf of the government. And it's a slippery, spot where they're trying to prevent people from literally harming themselves through bad advice. But then you also get into the situation where once these freedoms have been given up, once we accept that the government is giving a list of problematic things that you can't say on social media, and then having social media then act on that, we're in some serious fascistic territory here. It's not that these particular things might be alarming to you. It's that this is the gateway to other things. And once they do it for medical information, then they're going to say, well, you're not allowed to criticize your government. You're not allowed to talk about the events in January. You're not allowed to talk about, you know, what happened in Las Vegas. You're not, and it goes on and on and on like this. People need to be aware that this is a shocking revelation, and that, you know, I guess Trump's lawsuit just gained a little bit more steam. Make sure that you pick up a VPN using my link in the description. Take advantage of that huge discount. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you again real soon.